Hello, peace and greetings. I am Bella, and this is the new True Crime Reading channel. Email's there in case you want to send me any reading requests, and so is the Cash App at Readings by Bella for the energy and the time I take to put into these cases. We want to get the information out there. We want to keep the conversation going with these folks. So please do donate. Please do send request and share the videos, like them, and subscribe. Also check the description area because there may be like news clippings or anything that I needed to add, or the pinned comments. Thank you. Take care, guys. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Happy Mother's Day weekend to you guys out there as well. I'm filming on May 10th, 2024. And this video is going to be interesting because I actually had some orb action in my space, and I've never had orb action where I live now. I've had plenty of orb experiences in the past and in other places where I lived, but never here until the morning that you're going to hear the audio for. I'll put a clip in of a quick clip of that orb situation later in the video. So I'm prefacing right now because this is the first time I did a reading, like waking up in bed. The audio that you're going to hear me groggy and sounding kind of not so much like I sound now. So just bear that in mind. I woke up and I had a connection and I was having a conversation with the ladies. So I needed to get it right away. I needed to get the emotion, the insight, everything needed to be pure in that moment. So I just started recording. Now there are things that I left out. So after the video, I'm going to add some more towards the end, okay? So stay tuned for that because there's a couple more details I need to fit in there. So this video was requested. Thank you for requesting to the person that requested. The reason it took so long was because I tried to reach out and I couldn't get anything. I did this all from psychic impressions. The only thing I got was that the ladies were being protected by angelic energy. They were really being shielded and protected. So I didn't think I would hear from them. So I just let it sit. And this is over the course of like 2 weeks now. I'll go on to explain in the video that I made in bed, explaining, when things started to turn around. But I didn't think I was going to get the ladies. So I'm going to start that video now. Play it through, and at the end I'm going to put the orb clip in, and then I'm going to add the additional details that came up or that I needed to clarify. Regarding the Missouri missing three, okay, so I didn't think I was going to be able to get them because initially when I reached out to them, I didn't get anything. I felt like they were being protected by a high angelic frequency. And the idea was that they were just being protected from inquiries, likely because, there's so many people through the years that have likely tried to reach them, so they're being shielded. I got that a few days ago, 4 or 5 days ago, when I tried to get them. Then yesterday, Susie came through. Susie came through really, really high energy, vibrant, super friendly, super sweet, super bright. Mom was on the right side. Mom was there. Mom was in attendance. But Stacy appeared to be like metaphorically like she was sleeping. So I could see her, but she wasn't participating. She was off sleeping, okay, so to speak, which means she was just muted. She was quiet, and I just see her sleeping. Okay. So Suzette was very, very much like with the things. I didn't want to keep them long because I felt like it was a privilege that they would, that they even came around after I felt like they weren't gonna be willing to talk. So I directly said, could you tell me what happened? Who was it? Now, before I tell you what I got, when I initially saw this case on Unsolved Mysteries years ago, I was convinced that it was just a stalker then. Then when I looked at it again, because somebody requested it a few weeks ago that I do this reading, I watched the clipping again, and I said, oh, this was a cop. This was definitely a cop. This is somebody that was a part of like some sort of organization. This was a cop. So then, as we were talking a little bit yesterday and more so this morning, which is why I'm recording like this, because I wanted to get everything fresh. So Cheryl is telling me that either she was wanting to write a book or she had a diary that she wanted to turn into a book. Now, she was a cosmetologist. And I tried looking to validate if whether or not, she was like some sort of part-time writer or something like that. Couldn't find that, didn't see that. She's saying she had a diary and she was looking to write a book. And she may have been asking questions about how to go about getting it published, but didn't exactly say what was going to be in the book. So what I'm getting is that Cheryl likely had some information that might have been sensitive that somebody didn't want getting out. Now, how anybody else would have found out about what exactly would have been in her diary or what she was trying to do, like write a book, who knows? This is why you can't really tell people stuff, even when it's innocent. So I'm thinking that somebody somewhere mentioned something about a diary, or whoever had dealings with Cheryl, could imagine if she's asking about like how to get a book published or whatever, and she may have had some type of dealings with people, then who knows? The assumption might have been made. So anyway, that's what Cheryl's telling me. But before Cheryl told me that, Susie's telling me that they broke her left arm during the abduction. Okay, it was one male, and the person that did it was working under the orders. It was a hit. Okay, it was a hit, and it was ordered by somebody with some power and authority. I feel like this was locally. It was ordered by somebody locally, but the person that did it was just like a hitman. And she said, because she showed me like a chicken wing, with like a mangled chicken wing. And it had nothing to do with the chicken, but it was just showing me, she was just showing me how her arm was broken backward. It just reminded me of a chicken wing that might be a little mangled. So that's the picture she gave me. And I was like, oh, they broke her arm pretty bad during, the situation when they had abducted or took her. Now, when this happened, Stacy wasn't planned to be a part of the deal. Stacy ended up being separated, and she was harmed separately, and she was put somewhere different than the other girls. Now, I did hear the theory that they were fed to pigs, because somebody said that. And I would say yes for Suzette and Cheryl, but not for Stacy. Because when I asked again, I was shown like bones in a pig pen and like pigs eating on bones. Okay. Like a pig pen, a farm, and bones being consumed. So that was telling me that that's likely the scenario, but it wasn't for Stacy. It was just because it was a targeted hit against Cheryl and Suzette. So Stacy wasn't a part of the package, but she was there. So I'm gonna go back in and see what other information I can get. I just wanted to make this video because I wanted to get like the other thing was she said that the guy that did this, dark hair, probably about 5'9", a little weight on him, but she said he was coked up, like he had to get high to do this. And that's why I think Suzette ended up with a broken arm because of the brute force. So yeah, I'm going to continue a little bit later. Okay, so the orb happened really, really fast over a matter of a second. So I looped the clip. I had to chop it down and loop it so that you guys could see it. So it looks like it's spinning, but it's not. It just went through once. And again, I haven't seen an orb in a very long time. So there you go. Okay, so now that you guys heard the audio from yesterday morning's reading for the ladies, I just want to go over some notes and cover some other things. So we know that Cheryl was a cosmetologist. She had a lot of clients. And what normally happens when you're at the barbershop or, you're at the stylist or the salon or whatever, people get to talking, right? People, sometimes they gossip, sometimes they talk about stuff, they talk about their relationships, and they also talk about town stuff, secrets and things like that. If you're a service provider and you take care of people really well, people, that's kind of like an act of love, right? It's a form of love making, right? So with something that is like socially intimate like that, people tend to be more open, like they open up, they trust you, and they share things with you. So this writing thing, I felt that this may have been like a secret. I get the impression that this was like a secret talent or budding talent or something that she may have wanted to do, but she kept, kind of like on the back burner, kind of like as a hobby, journaling or writing or whatever. And I get the feeling that she came across information, likely from a client, and decided to do like some kind of sleuth investigation work or whatever, something along those lines. That's what I feel like that came from. I was also shown a pipe fitter. I was shown a man, and I was shown a huge pipe being laid into the ground. But that man is not the same man that I see as the abductor. I'll describe him in a minute. I did have to reconfirm that information. Like I had to ask a couple of times if this individual was the same person, and the answer was no. So I think the information that may have been sensitive, if this is the case, that may have been sensitive, had something to do with a local union or some sort of local company. But I think it's the union, because there's a union. I had to look this up. There's a union. And I felt that bribery was something. So that came to me, bribery and some other things along that line. So I'm thinking that could be a thing. I feel like that could be a thing. And there was some power behind this particular company or agency or organization that this information was involving, right? Now, the guy, I do feel like this was one person, and I don't feel like it's that guy that everybody thinks that's in prison in Texas that people are saying. He stated that he was going to discuss, the case when his mother died, or that person. I think his name was Cox, maybe. I don't feel like it's him at all. This person looked to me like a shaggy, overweight, with poor posture, Charles Manson. That's what he looked like to me. Dark hair, had a little weight on him, posture was a little off, and he just looked like a shaggy, because the hair was a little long, fell in the face a little long. But when I say dark, I really mean dark, like dark, like black or dark brown or whatever, something along those lines. And that's what he reminded me of, is like Charles Manson, maybe like even that height, something about 5'9". But he just, had some meat on him. I felt like he got high before all of this started, and I feel like he's a professional. This is somebody that has done this before. Like, this is somebody that people call when they want to get things done. And when I said that I felt like the police were involved, I feel like the order came from some sort of organized official body, agency, some agency, some organization that has power. So I felt police cop all over this, and I feel like it's a professional hit too, because they were removed from the location because they didn't have to be removed, So that tells me also that validates for me that it was strategic. The light bulb being out, it was very strategic. The time that this had occurred, and what led up to this, all said to me that this was a hit. So let's see what else. So the pipe fitter, again, connected to like maybe a plumber's union or something like that. That's pretty much it, guys. So that's my reading. Again, I'm so grateful to them because they decided to come. I couldn't get anything. I didn't think I was going to get a chance to talk to them, but they were really being protected. I did see that the other young lady, Susie's friend, it was not a good demise. It was not good at all, and that's all I'll say. But she was buried. She was not. She was buried in a separate location, and yeah. So she was placed somewhere different, and it just was not good. So like I said, she is sleeping, or she's not. She's just not there to have a conversation. But I see her sleeping. So I know there's a metaphorical reason for that. She's just resting. And again, like, some folks don't really want to come through and relive stuff in the third dimension. I mean, this is a low vibrating space. And I think that for them, they really have to get to a certain place of healing, cleansing and purging of their experiences here, or the emotions and the trauma behind it, in order to come back and have some kind of a discussion about it without it really affecting them, because they still do get affected emotionally by these things. There's a lot of trauma, and that trauma, it's like almost like it gets trapped in the ethers, and it's just residual, and that's what you get with these kinds of, with a plane like this, Yeah, so sometimes they want to talk, sometimes they don't, but as always, you want to send them love. I was grateful that they came through and expressed my gratitude. And so, again, I want to thank you for watching, and feel free to suggest any other cases, and we will see you in the next video. Take care, guys. I am recording this video on November 24th. 3:46 in the morning. I'm getting ready to edit and re-upload the Springfield 3 missing persons case that I did a reading on a different channel. So towards the end of listening, because I had to re-edit it and take some of the ums out, but towards the end of the video, I got a visual of Susie and Cheryl's last moments. So in this video, I mentioned a pipe fitter. I saw a man laying a pipe, huge pipe, right? And I mentioned that there may be a connection to a pipe fitters union or something like that, right? So I see them in like a shallow ditch, and of course it's nighttime. I see a huge pipe, like one of these pipes that this union would be, responsible for laying, these workers, right? So it was on some grounds where they were doing work. So Susie and Cheryl have their hands tied behind their back. Now, mind you, Susie has a fractured arm. All right, so imagine the pain she's in, and she's still tied up. Cheryl, all Cheryl can think about is, all she can think about is Susie as a mother, right? That's all she can think about. She's terrified. She's in hyper alert status. She's in fight or flight. All she can think about is her baby, because she's got a gut feeling knowing what's about to happen. She knows what's happening. All she can think about is Susie, who is lying next to her, crying and screaming at this man for their lives, okay? So just imagine, because I'm getting these impressions really quite raw, and it's emotional. Susie is screaming to the point where she has a headache, because she's not getting enough air. It's like her eyes, there's something covering her mouth. So she's screaming and she's wearing herself down. She's not getting enough oxygen. Her arm is hurting her so bad, and she has to pee. So I believe she urinated on herself, and it's in the highest, she's in the highest state of fear. The headlights from the vehicle is in their eyes, so that's also wearing them out, because you have this vehicle with the headlights on, aimed at them, laying down in this like shallow pit area, which is not where they were left. So you got the headlights, and the headlights are beaming into their faces on the left side. So that light and the pain that she's feeling from her arm, plus she's screaming, she's panicking, total fight or flight. She's crying hysterically, screaming through whatever they have on her mouth. And she's in pain, and this fucking headlight is just beaming into her eyes. Cheryl is at the end of her rope. She is terrified. She knows she's out of time, and she is panicked, heartbroken, devastated, and in a state of beyond fear. That big ass pipe is behind them. It's above ground. I feel like the pipe was not sitting there waiting to be installed, but that it was already like in its intended position. So this isn't just like a spare piece of equipment that's sitting there. It's like piping that is above ground, but it's huge. It's a huge like pipe thing, and the color is like a copper brown. And so that's behind them. It's like the pit was already like shaved down a little bit, you know. So it's like a kind of like a shallow pit area that they were thrown into. You got the headlights beaming on high in their faces. You got this psychopath standing over them, taunting them, and I just got this impression, and it's one of the tougher things about being a medium or a clairvoyant, but I'm also grateful that she was able to share the impression so that folks can understand exactly what it was that they went through. Now, if you listen to the whole video, then you know that Stacy was not with them. Stacy met her demise differently, and yeah, it was a very difficult thing to see and experience. And what really made it real, like even more so, right, was the fact that she had to pee so bad. She had to pee so bad, and she was crying and begging because it was obvious what was going to happen to them. And it's like almost like when she released her, you know, her bodily fluids were released, and that she released her will to live as well. She didn't have a choice, but it was almost like symbolic that, you know, once your body relieved itself, and you were kind of relieving yourself as well too. You know what I mean? It's kind of, it's like it all went together. You know, your will or your fight. Not that they weren't willing to fight, but it's kind of hard to explain what I'm trying to. It's kind of hard to explain, but that was like the end of the road. That was the end of it. You know, so once the body gave out, the body released, it was, you know, it was kind of like the finality, coming to terms with what was happening in front of them. But I'm gracious that I was able to see it and understand it. That they showed me that, and I was able to see it so that I can relay it to you guys. There could be something in what I said that might be beneficial to someone that lives in that area. But you know, please listen to the whole reading, because there may be more information that may be helpful in terms of, you know, trying to get as many details as possible. But yeah, that's it.